As I mentioned in my previous video, part of my job at an inky dinky Eikaiwa in Japan includes working as an ALT, assistant language teacher, in 2 elementary schools. In the last video, I gave you information about the ALT job itself, as well as some school culture I have encountered. In this video, I want to give you more details about the school culture, like school lunches and cleaning and different things that I have discovered in my elementary schools. And I'll tell you about the behavior of the students that I've experienced. Let's get into it. Yesterday, as I entered my school, I heard the first graders singing a song that sounded really great. You know, like they'd been practicing it a lot, but it's only 8:15 in the morning. Then when I walked past the first grade and went over and entered the entrance that I go into, I hear the song playing through the loudspeaker and I realized that's the school song. Apparently, that's a thing in Japan. I don't know for sure that they sing it every day, but I have to say it was sounding mighty fine that morning. Those first graders were really singing that great. My class started at 8:30, and so I stopped by the teacher's office and left my stuff off and then went to the first classroom that I had to go to, which was 3rd grade, and apparently they were doing morning announcements and things. So I wonder if that's like an everyday thing, or could it just be Wednesday? I'm not totally sure. I should ask my students someday, huh? That I live on the route to school, maybe about 10-minute walk from school. And once the morning song goes off, the town's local morning song goes off at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I know it's 7 o'clock. And then shortly after that, maybe 7:15 or so, kids start streaming by my apartment because my road is right on the way to school. I think that school starts at 8 o'clock and then they go for that half an hour in the morning to do the morning stuff. Because when I arrived the other day to the class at 8:30, they were still doing that. They were going over announcements, just finalizing that before they were ready for me. I don't know if all Japanese elementary schools are like the ones I go to, but the ones I go to are pretty interesting. By the way, the kids at my schools do not wear uniforms. The junior high school and high school kids do wear uniforms though. In the schools that I go to, they use these chalkboards that can be raised and lowered. There are also these thin white screens that are pulled down, like those maps, you know, that we had in school when at least when I was a kid. They have that same kind of thing, but it's much thinner and it adheres to the chalkboard. So when the teacher lowers or raises the chalkboard, the white screen will go with the board. And that thing serves as a projector screen and a whiteboard. It's pretty cool technology. The English curriculum has a lot of listening and watching activities that teachers can and actually do use. So they use their computers and projectors for these. And, you know, they struggle often with the computers, probably the same as anywhere in the world. The other day, we did the chant without the sound in the 5th grade in the little country school because the teacher just couldn't figure out how to get the sound to work. I wish I could show you a picture, but I can't do that on YouTube. There are students' work assignments, including like their calligraphy or their artwork or their posters that they've made or different things hanging around or displayed in the classroom. That's probably fairly normal, but it's really nice. There are cubby holes in the back of the room. It's kind of organized with what they put in which cubby hole. There are cubby holes outside the classroom here where they can put more things. And then there are the cubby holes down by the door when you come in the building, and they're for the outside shoes or inside shoes when they're not in the building or when I'm not in the building. Same for me too. I just stick my boots in one of the vacant cubby holes. And then there's lunch. At my local school, not in the country school, my schedule is such that I'm there during lunchtime on Thursdays and Fridays, so I'm assigned to join one of the classes for lunch. I'm not sure how they pick which class I go to. Students eat the lunch provided by the school in their classroom. They all eat the same lunch. The students themselves don aprons and dish out the food for everyone. And they actually clean up after lunch as well. During lunch, the student council, give announcements, across the loudspeakers. One cute little guy in 6th grade yesterday came back into the classroom while we were eating lunch, and he's like, "Yeah, I just gave the announcements. I read what the school lunch was today." He was like so proud. They just really like that job. Sometimes with those school lunches, there are some leftovers, and the students who want more do a rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets the last pieces of meat or whatever's left over. The lunches are usually, actually, I'd have to say, quite delicious and nutritious. I've seen one student who doesn't eat the school lunch, and I wonder if maybe he just has allergies. I'm not totally sure. So once the school lunch is all served, it's on trays, and everybody has a tray on their desk, and the ALT shows up, that'd be me. I wait in the teacher's lounge until the class monitor comes and fetches me and takes me to the class. Yesterday, the 6th grade monitor that came and fetched me actually said in English, "Let's go to lunch." So after the food is all served and the ALT arrives, the class monitor calls the students to attention, has them hold their hands together and say, "Itadakimasu," which literally means, in like a super duper polite way, something like, "I'm going to eat." At the end of the meal, the monitor gets the attention of the students and they say, "Gochusou-sama deshita." That literally means something like, "You gave me a feast." I can't really quite capture it in translation. These are just meal-related greetings, and you'll see people even when they're by themselves, they'll use these things. It's just part of the culture. Students don't seem to often complain about the food. They usually just eat that stuff right up, and it is pretty good, and it's quite healthy. So I actually recorded this video a couple of days ago, but yesterday I was eating with the 6th graders, so I have to amend a little bit here. I saw that the girl sitting next to me, I saw her hold up one of the vegetables in chopsticks, and she says to the kid across from her, "I hate this stuff," and then she eats it. So maybe kids are actually trained that they have to eat the school lunch completely. But some eat it heartily, and some, I notice, eat the more tasty stuff, to them probably, the more tasty stuff first. Whereas, frankly, I am the other way around. I'll start with the not my fave stuff and end with the happy stuff. The teachers also eat the school lunch in their classrooms with the students if they're classroom teachers, in the teacher's office if they aren't classroom teacher. I do have to pay for that lunch, though I don't really feel like I have any say if I want to eat the thing or not, but it is good. I pay about $3. I think the purpose of having the ALT eat in the classrooms with the students is to help the students get used to foreigners, probably partly to try and improve Japanese English and get used to foreigners maybe. In some classes, it's a lot of fun having lunch with the students. They ask me all kinds of questions. Like one time they were asking me what my favorite Japanese saying is. I'm like, yeah, I don't have a ton of sayings memorized. I just picked one, one that I happen to know. In other classes, I can't get a conversation going no matter what I try with those kids. Students are usually quite controllable and very easy to manage, and there's typically no problems at all in the classroom. Yeah, that's not true. Tricked you, didn't I? Actually, some teachers run a great classroom. They've got those kids in control. They're able to manage the kids great. I think that they've put a lot of work into it, and it hasn't been easy because you do have to take control. Other classrooms, those kids are out of control. I think probably in every classroom there's the stinkers who want to take control of the class and to just kind of play around. The stinkers are, yeah, stinkers. But on the other hand, some kids are just spectacular. Thinking about them makes me smile. And I love running into them in the hallway or the teacher's office. A handful, like a sumo wrestler's handful of them, enjoy making their classmates laugh, as I mentioned, and they can cause quite a bit of disruption in class and be pretty rude to me outside of the classroom. That has happened as well. The boys, particularly the 3rd and 4th graders, it seems. Well, those boys, they just love throwing that word in there for their, little special part that boys have, body part, I mean, and making various gestures related to it. They do it on a regular basis. Did I mention that they do it on a regular basis? Just in case that's not really clear, let me clarify. I mean, all the time. That word actually sounds fairly similar to the English version of that part of the body below the mouth. I'm embarrassed to even say that word anymore. Yeah, not really. By the way, if you ever have a little Japanese boy laughing hysterically after getting you to say chimpanzee, well, yeah, you'll know why. It didn't happen to me, by the way, but I did see it happen to another teacher. I have to say that particularly in schools, I've seen quite a few flip-offs, which to them it means shine, die, which is a very rude thing to do. I've even heard the English F word from little kids. I don't know that they totally understand what they're doing, but they know it's bad. one time I had maybe a couple times, I had one of the teachers at the little country elementary school send a couple of boys down to the office to apologize for their behavior during English class. I mean, actually, I barely noticed it because, I've seen 1,000 times worse than those little boys. But anyway, I really appreciated it that teacher was making an effort to work on her kids' behavior. I've seen her have other little conversations with kids in the teacher's office, and I think it really makes a difference. Those little boys handled that very nicely, and it was actually pretty cute. Though I can't guarantee that they won't just do the same thing the next time. Yeah, there are stinkers, and there are sweeties. And some have split personality. They're both stinkers and sweeties at the same time. Now let me tell you about kids going to the teacher's office. Now I remember this from my days back in the day when I was in Japan. I had a year of high school in Japan when I was a teenager, and we did this too. When the students approach the teacher's office, they knock on the door, open the door, and say, "Excuse me, shiresimasu." They announce their name, what class they're from, and then explain why they've come. Maybe they've come to get some more chalk, or to get garbage bags, or to talk about something with a particular teacher. A couple of times I've seen students brought into the teacher's room to discuss their behavior with one of the lead teachers. By the way, they call them lead teacher, head teacher. I think they're probably more like what we would call principals. And anyway, when the students leave the teacher's office, they'll say, "Excuse me, shireshimashita," and perhaps bow and then close the door. And I have to say that even the stinkers in the classes will handle entering the teacher's office pretty seriously. I guess having all those teachers in the same room is a little bit intimidating. That's it for school culture in Japan. I hope that you found it interesting. I find it quite interesting. I hope that someday you get the opportunity to experience it. See you later.